Hello, and welcome back to the Camera Brave Show. I'm Marissa, and I am so excited that you are here with me for another episode. So today I'm going to talk about a message mindset, what exactly it is, why it's important, and the 5 steps you can take to creating a message mindset. Before we dive on in, I'd like to ask you for a super quick favor. If you're enjoying this show and you're listening on Apple Podcast, if you could please do me a favor and rate the show and write me a review and tell me what you're enjoying, I would be so appreciative for your time. I really love to hear your guys' feedback and know what topics that you're really enjoying and what you would like to hear more of. That way I can keep curating the show to be the most helpful for you. Without further ado, let's dive right into a message mindset. So what exactly is a message mindset? It's a term that I created to basically mean focusing 100% of your mind on your message. Sounds easy enough, right? Here's the thing. I see a lot of people that can't get out of their head. When it comes to being on camera, they let intimidation stop them, or the fear of speaking and being heard. They're letting all of these things stop them. They're thinking about what the other person on the other side of that screen is going to be thinking while they're talking. They're thinking about 500 different things, and their focus is not on their messaging. So this is a concept where you can not have to necessarily sort through and have resolute answers to all of the questions of, what if I freeze up? What if this happens? What if this happens? Instead of really flushing out those millions of things that your mind is thinking of, instead, we're going to flip your focus to be completely on your messaging. If this sounds like something you could use a hand with, then stay tuned because I'm going to go over 5 steps for how you can start creating a message mindset. So that's what the message mindset is. Why is it important? It's important because when I started creating the Camera Brave page, I started asking, why do you guys feel like you can't show up on camera? What is it that's stopping you? And I realized that the root of what so many of you guys were saying was not feeling confident. And that a lot of you believed if you could get confident on camera, that you'd be able to show up and create content, finally create the YouTube series or even the podcast or IGTV series that you've really wanted to. So if you're not familiar with me and my journey, I have been a professional on-camera spokesperson for years now. So me feeling comfortable on camera is a given. It's something that started so long ago, really just through opportunities that came my way and repetition. And it came down to me realizing that I was confident on camera and that was something that a lot of people were struggling with. And I'm not talking about people who are trying to be professional on camera spokesperson people. I'm talking about entrepreneurs that are trying to build a brand and stand out online. People that are trying to push content out that's more engaging and that's going to be more likely to get shares and likes because they don't have the time to keep pouring in and creating massive amounts of content. They need content that's going to spread like wildfire. So that's when I decided to dive into what exactly goes behind what I do on camera. What has allowed me to kind of build myself up and to be confident on camera, because it was not a conscious decision that I made. It was really just done through continually showing up and through earning a paycheck, because that's what started my on-camera journey. It started with a passion for storytelling, but then I kept going because it was making me money. And I realized that it's a learned skill, not something that I was born with. If you went back to my very first on-camera days, I started off as a show host. Whew, I have come a long way. This isn't something I was born with. It's a learned skill. My reason for telling you this is so that way you can understand where exactly this message mindset comes from and why it's so crucial. It's crucial because your mindset is what is most likely holding you back. Video has multiple components, but this is the one that stops people. There are other hangups, like I don't know what equipment to use or the technological aspect of it. But with the advancement of social media, the need to understand how to properly format and shoot video has really become non-existent, because you can jump on your phone and create a story without needing to know any technology, without having to understand how to record and edit and technique. So if the technique isn't what's stopping you, what is? I'm going to argue that your mindset and not feeling ready, prepared, or thinking about the 500 things and reasons why you shouldn't and what could go wrong are what is holding you back. And if you're able to convert your mind to be a message mindset where you are focused completely on your messaging, then you'll be able to get through the video. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're really trying to do. You just have to get to the end of your video. That's it. You don't have to be able to be camera ready and ready to go at a moment's notice all the time. Your goal, especially if you're just starting out, is to just get through your video and enjoy it. Of course, I want you to enjoy creating your content. But when it comes down to it, you just need to get to the end of that video and get that content out there. So let's go into the 5 steps to create a message mindset. The first step in this journey is I want you to take some time and reignite your passion for what you do. If you're in business for yourself, if you're an entrepreneur, freelancer, whatever term you call yourself, there is something about what you do that lights you on fire. It gets you so excited. There is a passion and a drive behind every person that works for themselves. And I want you to take some intentional time and dive into that. I want you to take some time to either journal, reflect, visualize, whatever works for you, and relive what lights you up, what you love about what you do. Because when you give that time and you can kind of reignite and get excited about what you do, it's going to be what will push you forward when all of those little fears start to creep up. When you start to worry about the way that you look, or you start to get overwhelmed with what people are going to think of your content, or if you stumble over your words, or if you say or 100 times, being able to feel that passion and that fire is going to be what moves you forward and keeps you going from that fear paralysis of all of the what ifs. Getting excited about what you do and rediscovering why you love it, that's going to be the key in creating this message mindset. So step number 1, take some time and rediscover what drives you and your passion for what you do. The second step is to create a content outline, especially if you are new. Now that you're excited and you've got your passion and your brain's firing and you're loving what you do, take some time and plan and organize what your content is going to be. This can be as simple or as detailed as you like, but I want you to have a plan before going on camera. That way, you can eliminate that fear of what if my mind goes blank? Because odds are your mind may go blank. And that's okay, because that's human and that happens. And that's part of why outlining your content and having a plan behind what exactly you're going to talk about every time you get up on camera is so crucial. If you're wanting a little bit more regarding this content outline stage, I will include the link for my webinar here. And if you follow the link, there is a little surprise in there that is going to help you with your content outline. So if you're watching this on YouTube, follow the link in the description. If you're listening wherever you listen to podcasts, find the link in the show notes, and it's going to help you out massively if you're struggling to outline your content. It can also be as simple as a pen and a piece of paper, and you can just jot out exactly what you want to talk about. Step number 3 is when you're actually recording the video, tailor your content to one person. So if you've been in business for a little bit, maybe you've done this avatar exercise, or maybe you're familiar with it. If not, an avatar is essentially creating your ideal customer as one person. It's a very helpful exercise to create this avatar. So if you are new to it, maybe give it some time and really try to dive in. Or if not, you can go ahead and picture someone, an actual client that you've had. One person. That's the key here, is being singular. Instead of thinking about the whole wide world of the internet and people that are going to count your ums and uhs, and people who are going to be looking at your messy background or thinking her hair is frizzy. Those people aren't your avatar. They aren't the reason for getting up on camera and talking about what you are so incredibly passionate about. Your avatar or a client, that's the reason you are here. So when you're delivering your content, you're going to funnel it and treat it like you're on a Zoom call with that one person. Treat it like you're talking to them in person. This is a little bit easier if you're doing pre-recorded video as opposed to lives, but it's honestly universal in the world of video. Tailor your content to one person, whether it's your avatar, your ideal customer, or a client that you've worked with. What would you want to tell this client? You have your content outline, you're passionate and you're ready to go, you're ready to talk about it. Now talk about it like it's to that one person. Deliver it like you're talking to one person. Because anyone else who's not here 100% for your content and who isn't enjoying your video and the whole experience that you are bringing to them when you're on camera, they are not for you. You are here for your avatar, for your customer. So deliver your content like you're talking to them. That is step number 3. Step number 4 in creating this message mindset is asking your audience what they want to hear. Because that step allows you to not feel like you're constantly selling or that you're constantly promoting yourself, because you're not. You're also serving your audience. Whatever field you're in, whatever your expertise is. So mine, for example, is video production. I will ask people, what questions do you have about video? What do you want to know? What would be a helpful topic for me to dive into and for me to explore that you want to hear? That's why I ask for things like reviews or comments. And you can do this like creating a post on Facebook, Instagram, whatever social media platform you're on. And you could very point blank ask, tell me in the comments what you want to hear. Tell me in the comments what you want me to talk about. Or if you're on stories on Instagram, and I think Facebook does it as well, you can just create a poll, and right there, people can type in the answer of what they want you to talk about. This is going to be so helpful as you keep creating content and as you keep showing up on camera. And it's going to help you realize the depth of what you know. And that kind of goes into tip number 5. But tip number 4, ask your audience what they want to hear. Because you're not just getting on camera to sell and to talk about how amazing your brand is and how amazing your product or service-based business is, but you're giving them a reason to want to watch. You're educating, you're informing, you're sharing what you know. So a great way to do that and to create content that they're going to love is to just ask them, what do you want to hear? Even if you're afraid no one's going to respond, even if you're afraid that they will want to hear a topic that you aren't familiar with, or if they have questions that you don't know the answer to. I want you to put all of those thoughts and all of those worries on pause and just ask them. Because no matter what happens, if nothing happens, that's okay. You can keep diving into what exactly you're going to talk about, go back to that passion, and really deep dive into what lights you up. Or if they ask something that you don't know the answer to, then you can at least segue or tell them what you do know. Be honest. No one in your audience is going to try to trick you and expect you to know everything. Most likely, that's not what your audience is going to do. In reality, they're going to shine a light on what they need to know, what informational gap there may be between what you know and what they know. And that is something that you can take and run and create content around. So instead of thinking about what if no one tells me, or what if they ask questions I don't know the answer to, I want you to just ask your audience. How does that saying go? You'll never know the answer if you don't ask. Something like that. Probably sounds a little smoother, the original quote. All right, step number 5, and I did dive into this a little bit in step number 4, but continue to dive into what you already know. Step number 5 is about constantly exploring what you know. A business coach that I follow says all the time, you know more than you think you do. And I think those are wise words, especially when we're just starting out. And one way to discover what you know is to continually dive into your topics and your content. One amazing resource for me has been this podcast. It's allowed me to really concentrate and focus and dig into the content of each episode. And it's allowed me to really explore these mindset topics that I'm so passionate about. And it's gone back to step number 1. It's helped to refuel my passion for what I love to talk about. Before the podcast, I touched on the importance of mindset. But throughout this, I think we're on episode 13 right now. Throughout talking about it, I've really discovered how passionate I am about talking on mindset, specifically when it comes to confidence building, because that is so imperative in showing up on camera. So don't sell yourself short here. Go back to that passion. You know more than you think you do. Ask your audience what they want to hear. And even if you don't know the exact answer to their question, maybe it'll remind you of, oh, you know what? Here's a good idea for you. Have them ask their questions. Ask them, what do you have questions about? What do you want to hear about? That's a great way to continually broaden what you're talking about and to continually grow. So that's the next step here in step number 5, is to continually dive into what you already know. Don't sell yourself short and keep going. Then the second aspect of that is to keep expanding and keep growing and keep learning. You don't have to have it all figured out to start talking to your audience. But if you can keep growing and you can keep exploring these topics, then your growth is going to benefit them. It's going to reflect in your content. The more work that you're putting into yourself and into your field and into expanding your mind and really flexing your skills as a storyteller is going to improve your content constantly. So those are the 5 steps for creating a message mindset. Step number 1, reignite your passion and really rediscover your mission and what you could talk all day about, what lights your soul on fire. Step number 2, create a content outline that is packed full of value, specific to the video that you're about to record. Step number 3, tailor your content like you're speaking to one person, whether it's your avatar or you could reference a client that you've actually worked with. Step number 4, ask your audience what they want to hear and put all of those fears of what if there are crickets and what if they ask questions I don't know, put all of those on hold and just ask. You'll never know the answer if you don't ask, or some form of however that wise quote goes. And step number 5, continue to dive into what you already know and constantly explore new things and work on expanding yourself, because that is only going to reflect in your content. This idea of we have to have this perfectly developed train of thought in order to come up on camera or to have mastered the art of self-development, those are just lies. It's not true. You can come up as you are, as long as you've done your step number 2, your content is there and it's focused, then people will want to watch your content. If you found this entire concept of a message mindset intriguing and you're needing more than the steps, stay tuned, because I do talk a lot about a message mindset in my course. And again, this isn't a concept that was taught to me. It's a concept that I developed in real time while talking to you guys and asking what your fears were and what was holding you back, and realizing what the difference is between someone who's afraid to show up on camera and someone who is confident showing up on camera. And the biggest gap here is in your mind. And one of the best ways to get started is to focus completely on your messaging and minimize all of the fears. So if this is something that you're interested in learning more about, stay tuned, because my Camera Brave Academy course is going to be opening up very soon. And we tackled this on week 2 because it is crucial to flipping your focus. It is the way that I teach to get out of your head and onto the screens of your audience. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this episode, I really want to encourage you to share it with someone that you think it could help inspire. Maybe someone who could really use a little nudge and the actual practical steps to getting out of their head and to focusing on the amazing message that they have to share with the world, and especially with their audience. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week, and I'll see you next time on the Camera Brave Show.